My Lords, in welcoming this bill, I'm guided very much by the expert voices in your Lordship's House, particularly those from the crossbenchers. And as a relatively new member of your Lordship's House, I'm well aware with the challenge of coming to terms with the detail and complexity of the fine points of law and lawmaking. I particularly want to reflect on the words of the noble and learned Lord Judge, when in his speech today he referred to the legislative morass that this was trying to find some clarity in. And I think that legislative morass is not a technical issue, but very much a political one, and one that I hope I can make some useful comments on. And I'd like to go back to the words of the Prison Reform Trust before the 2019 election. And they called on party leaders to temper their language with regard to law and order so that sensitive issues of intense public concern are not exploited, but are used to contribute to a reasonable and constructive public debate. Far too often, that is not what happened around law and order issues. Very often we've seen politics being certainly the largest forces seeking to compete to appear to be tough on the crime, with maybe tough on the causes of crime added as an afterthought. There's been an easy response to awful events. Let's create a new offence, a knee-jerk promise to increase penalties. And often this is it's deeply confusing as well as deeply destructive. I'd like to associate myself with the remarks of the noble Lord Harris of Haringey about the evidence, particularly around young men, and how they're not necessarily in a position to react appropriately and should be managed differently. The fact is our prison population has quadrupled in the past century, and half of that increase is since 1990. And we have the highest rate of imprisonment in Western Europe. And I don't believe there's any doubt at all that that makes our society worse off for all of its members, for all of its futures. But I particularly want to take a short moment to focus on the work of a member of your Lordship's House, Baroness Corston, 2007, a very internationally renowned report on women prisoners. And it acknowledged the fact that women prisoners are objectively different as a population. The majority of victims of domestic abuse, 48% committed their offence in relation to someone else's drug use. Half of them have drug issues themselves, 25% a problem with alcohol. And there's the non-offending victims. Only 5% of children remain in the family home when women are sent to prison, when their mothers are sent to prison. So it's no doubt that we need sentences to be clear and transparent. We also need them to be humane.